Mercedes SUV parked in my parents' driveway. My sister Bailey's latest acquisition. Through the window, I could see her showing it off to relatives, running her hand along the leather seats while Mom beamed with pride. I sat in my practical Honda Civic, the one I'd paid cash for 5 years ago, and checked my phone one more time before going inside. The email confirmation was there. Acquisition of Premier Auto Group finalized. Congratulations on your purchase, Ms. Davis. I was 35 years old, a private equity investor specializing in distressed automotive assets. My family thought I was something in finance, a vague job they'd never asked about because it wasn't as exciting as Bailey's Instagram influencer career, which consisted of 50,000 followers and an endless stream of sponsored posts featuring luxury items she didn't pay for. I walked into the house carrying a modest gift bag. The living room was full of relatives admiring Bailey's new car through the window. Riley. Mom rushed over, pulling me into a hug that felt more obligatory than warm. You're late. Bailey just got her Christmas present. I can see that. Another Mercedes. It's the GLE 450, Bailey said, not looking up from her phone where she was already posting photos. Upgraded from the C-Class. I needed something bigger for all my collaboration packages. This was her third car this year. A BMW in March, an Audi in July, and now the Mercedes in December. Each one financed, each one with a payment plan my parents couldn't actually afford. Riley, we need to talk, Dad said, guiding me toward the kitchen. Mom followed and I knew what was coming. In the kitchen, away from the relatives, Dad's jovial expression faded. We need your help with something. How much? Don't be like that, Mom said. This is family. How much? I repeated. 4,000, Dad said. The Mercedes payment is $1,200 monthly, and we're already carrying the payments on Bailey's other 2 cars. Plus the Audi needs new tires, the BMW needs service. Why are you paying for Bailey's cars? She's building her brand, Mom explained as if this were obvious. She needs to look successful to attract sponsors. You can't be an influencer driving a regular car. She could get a job and pay for her own cars. Her influencer work is a job, Mom said defensively. She posts every day, engages with followers. Does it pay $3,600 monthly in car payments? Silence. We just need help until her big sponsorship deal comes through, Dad said. She's in talks with a major beauty brand. Once that hits, she'll be able to cover everything. I'd heard versions of this story for 3 years. The big deal was always coming. The major brand was always interested. Meanwhile, my parents funded Bailey's lifestyle while their own retirement accounts dwindled. How much have you spent on Bailey's cars this year? I asked. That's not the point. How much? Dad shifted uncomfortably. Maybe $30,000 total. But that's an investment in her future. $30,000 on car payments, insurance and maintenance for vehicles Bailey drives but doesn't pay for. You make good money, Mom said, her voice taking on a pleading tone. What's $4,000 to you? It's Bailey's Christmas present, really. Just one more payment from your emergency fund. My phone buzzed. A text from my business partner. Repo team en route. 11:45 p.m. I checked my watch. 8:30 p.m. Plenty of time. Let me ask you something, I said. How much do you think I make? I don't know, Mom said. You work in finance. Probably 70,000. The number was so far off it was almost funny. And based on that assumption, you want me to give you 4,000, more than half a month's salary? It's not giving, it's helping, Dad corrected. Family helps family. When was the last time you asked Bailey to help with anything? Bailey's situation is different. She's building something. And I'm not. For the first time, I let frustration creep into my voice. You've never asked what I do. Never visited my office. Never attended any of my company events. But you assume I can afford to fund Bailey's lifestyle. Don't make this about you, Mom said. This is about family unity. It's Christmas. I pulled out my phone and opened a document. Let me show you something. This is a record of every financial request you've made in the past 5 years. The spreadsheet was comprehensive. Bailey's first car down payment, $8,000. Bailey's second car down payment, $7,500. Bailey's third car down payment, $9,000. Monthly car payment, loans, $43,200. Parents, emergency requests, $28,000. Family vacations, $15,000. Bailey's apartment deposits/rent, $22,000. Total, $132,700. Amount repaid, $0. Mom's face went pale. You've been keeping track? I've been documenting systematic financial exploitation. There's a difference. That's a terrible way to look at family, Dad said, but his voice had lost its authority. What's terrible is asking me to fund Bailey's third luxury car this year while I drive a 5-year-old Honda. What's terrible is expecting me to drain my emergency fund so Bailey can maintain an Instagram aesthetic. Bailey appeared in the doorway. Are you talking about me? Your parents want me to pay for your new Mercedes. It's not like you can't afford it, Bailey said, scrolling through her phone. You work in finance. You're loaded. What do I do in finance, Bailey? She looked up, confused by the question. I don't know. Numbers stuff. I'm a private equity investor. I specialize in acquiring and restructuring automotive dealerships and financing companies. My current portfolio includes 18 dealerships across 6 states. The kitchen went silent. My personal net worth is approximately $12 million. My annual income varies, but last year it was $2.3 million. Bailey's phone slipped from her hand, clattering on the tile floor. 12 million. Dad repeated. The Honda I drive. That's strategic. I learned early that displaying wealth in this family resulted in increased demands. So I kept my success private while you all assumed I was barely getting by. I pulled up another document on my phone. This is particularly interesting. Bailey, where did you get the financing for your Mercedes? Premier Auto Group, she said quietly. They approved me despite my credit. They approved you because you listed Mom and Dad as co-signers and provided fabricated income documentation. The finance manager noted in the file that the deal was questionable but technically approvable. How do you know that? Mom asked. Because as of 4 p.m. today I own Premier Auto Group. I purchased the dealership chain including all outstanding loan contracts. The silence was deafening. You bought the dealership? Bailey whispered. I bought the entire company. 12 locations including the one that financed all 3 of your cars. And according to the contracts, all 3 vehicles are currently in default. That's impossible, Dad said. We've been making payments. You've been making partial payments. The BMW is 2 months behind, the Audi 4 months behind. The Mercedes was approved with first payment due January 5th, but based on the payment history of the other vehicles, it's already been flagged as high risk. I pulled up the loan documents. Here's what you don't know. Premier Auto Group was failing because of predatory lending practices, approving people who couldn't afford the vehicles, then profiting from defaults and repos. I acquired them specifically to restructure their business model. So you're going to help us, Mom said hopefully. No. I'm going to enforce the contracts. All 3 vehicles are subject to repossession based on default terms. My repo team is already en route. You're going to repossess your own sister's cars? Bailey's voice was shrill. On Christmas Eve? I'm going to repossess vehicles that were fraudulently financed and are currently in default. The fact that they're yours is coincidental. This is insane, Dad said. You bought a dealership just to take Bailey's cars? I bought a dealership because it was a smart investment. The fact that Bailey's fraudulent loans are part of the portfolio I'm cleaning up is just ironic timing. My phone buzzed again. Repo team 15 minutes out. You can't do this, Mom said desperately. It's Christmas. Family doesn't treat family this way. Family doesn't commit loan fraud. Family doesn't list false income on financing applications. Family doesn't co-sign for vehicles they can't afford and then demand other family members cover the payments. I walked back into the living room where relatives were still admiring the Mercedes through the window. They turned as I entered. I need everyone to hear something, I said, pulling up the loan documents on my laptop and connecting to the TV. Bailey's Mercedes, along with her BMW and Audi, were all financed through Premier Auto Group using falsified income information and Mom and Dad as co-signers. The loan applications filled the screen, highlighted sections showing Bailey's claimed income of $8,000 monthly, nearly triple what her actual influencer earnings totaled. That's private information. Bailey shouted. It's fraud documentation. And as the new owner of Premier Auto Group, I'm legally obligated to address it. Aunt Linda, Dad's sister, leaned forward. Bailey claimed she makes $8,000 a month from Instagram? She makes maybe $3,000 on a good month, I said. The financing was approved based on false information. All 3 vehicles are in default. And as of midnight, they'll be repossessed. You're really doing this? Bailey asked. Humiliating me in front of the whole family? You humiliated yourself by committing fraud. I'm just enforcing consequences. Uncle Tom spoke up. Hold on. Riley, you said you own 18 dealerships. Correct. Premier Auto was my latest acquisition. I've been in automotive private equity for 8 years. And you've been letting us think you were barely scraping by? Mom asked. I've been protecting my assets from a family that sees me as an ATM. Every time I've mentioned any success, it's been followed by requests for money. So I stopped mentioning it. I pulled up my complete financial portfolio on the TV. Automotive dealership holdings, $8,400,000. Commercial real estate, $2,100,000. Investment portfolio, $1,300,000. Cash reserves, $890,000. Total net worth, $12,690,000. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. $12 million, Bailey said. And you drive a Honda and wear clothes from Target. Because wealth isn't about looking rich. It's about being rich. Something you'd understand if you'd ever earned money instead of just spending other people's. Headlights swept across the living room window. 2 large tow trucks pulled into the driveway, followed by a black SUV. They're here, I said. Bailey ran to the window. No. You can't take my cars. How will I get to collaborations? How will I maintain my brand? The same way millions of other people get places. Buy a car you can actually afford. 3 men in professional uniforms approached the door. I let them in, presenting my identification and ownership documents. Ms. Davis, we're here for 3 vehicles registered to Bailey Davis, the lead repo agent said. A BMW 5 Series, an Audi Q5, and a Mercedes GLE 450. Bailey, I need the keys, I said. I'm not giving you the keys. Then they'll tow them anyway. Your choice. Cooperate or watch them hook up the cars. Mom started crying. Dad looked between Bailey and me, his face red with anger. This is how you treat family. On Christmas Eve. This is how I treat fraud, I replied. Bailey committed loan fraud with your help. Now there are consequences. What about Christmas? Bailey sobbed. What about family? What about the $132,000 you've taken from me over 5 years? What about the emergency fund you wanted me to drain tonight? What about treating me like family instead of a bank? Bailey reluctantly handed over the keys to all 3 vehicles. The repo team worked efficiently, loading them onto the trucks while relatives watched in stunned silence. As the trucks pulled away with Bailey's cars, Aunt Linda approached me. Riley, I had no idea you'd done so well. I'm sorry we never asked. It's not your fault. But maybe now you understand why I kept it quiet. Uncle Tom nodded. Your parents have been telling everyone Bailey's the successful one. The influencer with the bright future. Meanwhile, you've been building an actual empire. An empire they tried to drain to fund Bailey's fake one, I said. After the repo team left, the Christmas party dissolved rapidly. Relatives made awkward excuses and departed. Within an hour, only my immediate family remained. What happens now? Dad asked quietly. That depends on you. The fraud is documented. You can cooperate with the restructured dealership's loss mitigation department, potentially avoid criminal charges and work out a settlement. Or you can fight it and I'll let the legal system handle everything. You'd prosecute your own family? Mom asked. You committed fraud using my company's resources. Yes, I'll prosecute if necessary. I can't believe you're doing this, Bailey said, her influencer composure completely shattered. Over cars. Not over cars. Over years of exploitation. Over being treated like an ATM. Over watching you get everything while contributing nothing. I picked up my coat. I'm leaving now. You have 72 hours to contact Premier Auto's legal department and begin resolution discussions. After that, it becomes a police matter. Riley, wait, Mom called. It's Christmas Eve. Can't we work this out as family? We stopped being family the moment you decided I existed to fund Bailey's lifestyle. Now we're just people with legal and financial obligations to each other. I walked out to my Honda. The car I'd chosen specifically because it didn't attract attention or invite questions about money I might have. As I drove away, I passed the tow trucks heading to the impound lot with Bailey's luxury vehicles. 3 cars worth $180,000 combined, none of which she could afford, all financed fraudulently. My phone rang. My business partner Marcus. "How'd it go?" he asked. "About as expected. Family meltdown, threats, tears. The usual. You know this is going to cause permanent damage." The damage was already done. I just stopped pretending otherwise. "Still, taking your sister's cars on Christmas Eve. That's cold." "She committed fraud. I enforced consequences. The timing is unfortunate but not my problem." "Fair enough. So, the Premier Auto restructuring plan. When do you want to review it?" "Day after Christmas. I need a day to decompress from family drama." "You've earned it. Merry Christmas, Riley." "Merry Christmas, Marcus." 3 months later, I sat in my corner office looking out over the city. I was reviewing reports from my dealership group. Premier Auto Group was rebuilt. No more shady loans, fair deals, honest profit. Bailey's 3 luxury cars were gone, sold at auction. Now she drove a used Honda Civic, the same car I had. She'd bought it herself with money from her new marketing job. Her Instagram following had dropped to 20,000 after she stopped pretending to be rich. My parents had accepted a settlement. They paid $15,000 toward the fake loans and went through financial counseling. Charges were dropped when they agreed to cooperate. The family split, of course. Some said I was cruel. Others, like Aunt Linda and Uncle Tom, quietly supported me, and even asked about real investments. The biggest change was inside me. The guilt I used to feel about my success was gone. I no longer believed helping family meant losing myself. I had started dating someone from my business circle. When I told him about the Christmas Eve repossession expecting judgment, he just said, "Good for you. Family obligation doesn't mean funding fraud." Then my phone buzzed, an email from Bailey. It was the first time she'd written since that night. "Riley, working a real job is harder than I thought. I'm tired every day, but I'm learning what earning money really feels like. The counselor showed me how much mom and dad spent on me. $132,000. I never added it up before. That's crazy. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just get it now. Looking rich isn't being rich. I'm selling the designer stuff I bought with your money. I can't repay it all, but I'll try to give something back. Bailey." I read it twice, waiting to spot manipulation. But all I saw was honesty, maybe real this time. I didn't reply right away. Maybe I would. Or maybe this was just closure. Either way, I felt free. That Christmas Eve had been harsh but necessary. Mom begged for another payment. Bailey flaunted her 3rd car. I signed the repo papers. And at midnight, the cars were gone. But I gained something better. My right to live as more than their wallet. Family doesn't mean endless money. Love shouldn't cost your future. Sometimes the kindest act is refusing to fund destruction. By taking back the cars, I'd given Bailey something better. A chance to build a real life. She'd hated me for it. Maybe someday she'd understand. Until then, I'd keep building, keep my boundaries, and choose truth over illusion. Because I finally knew the truth. You can't save someone who won't try. You can only stop paying for their refusal.